All right, do you have audio now? Thank you for the call out. Yay! Okay, good deal. All right, so I was saying we're gonna upgrade. We're gonna upgrade Tiramisu. Looks like we've got some conflicts. We're doing main, but if that's not, I wonder if that's on a different branch. Let's look real quick. We've got Renatias in the chat, so we could lean on them potentially. Let's see. So here, no, it says 2.04 on main. I could just use, I suppose, the regular way and do this. And let's do Gleam update. Let's see if that'll fix it. Okay, so now we're up to date. Yay! All right, so that means we can go there. Okay, except I've got problems. Okay, so it looks like this changed signatures. So let's go in here. I'm gonna have to restart my language server, I think. I'm gonna go figure that out. Okay, so texter load. Okay, so this signature, let's go to that definition. That has changed. Okay, so this takes an on success and on error. Okay, so I think that what I was trying to do this load everything. But what we can do potentially is do change this into an effect batch. Yeah. So let's go in there, see what's going on. Right. Yeah, I can use, okay. If I want to batch all of them, that's good point. So we'll use subURDs directly. Except I can never spell it. Sav. Load texture. Okay. So that'll fix that, and then we don't have to we don't have to worry about that. So let's see what other bugs we've got. That's the only one so far. Okay. Now we got some new ones. Okay, incorrect arity. Expected one argument got 2. Okay, so let's look in there. The plane, oh, it takes effect 2. So we'll just do easy enough. And then this takes 7 arguments, so there's new ones. Let's go to that. So there's a side. What is this? Front side, back side, double side. Okay. Alpha test. Yeah, these are things I'm not as familiar with, but we will. Okay. Yeah, let's let's go in here and, oops, wrong one. Here we go. Okay, so side, do that. Test. I'm gonna have to look at some examples, I think, but I think we'll just do one. Okay, I'm guessing that's to detect transparency. And then what's the other argument? Here, let's go back to the definition again. Depth right. We might need to look at the 3.js. Yeah, they do. I think I need to look at the 3.js to see what those mean. But we'll say depth right false. I'm not sure about that. Let's look at 3.js real quick. Okay, so basic material, oops, mesh basic material. I'm assuming that's what we're using here. So depth right, I don't know what that changes. Okay, alpha map, ambient occlusion map, color combine, environment map, environment fog. Yeah, well, their documentation could use some help too. Okay. Light map. Map would be texture. Is it basic known material? No. All right. Let's look at their implementation. Okay. Yeah, I don't see that alpha test. Okay. All right, well, let's see what this does. Okay, so it does this. So if we go and hide the shell for a minute. Let's see what this maps to. Okay. Okay, create basic material. So go to that, right? So this calls create basic material FFI, which reveal in project panel, please. Okay. So let's look at this, find this function in here. Yep. Mesh basic material. Okay, so those are the arguments. Side, alpha test, depth right. So what I'm not seeing is how those arguments are used. Mesh basic material, yeah. Side. Am I looking at the wrong thing here? It's like color we know, okay. Transparent. Okay. Yeah, I don't see those arguments. Where are those coming from? And it's in there. Is it part of this generic thing? Is it like this color representation? Color or string or number? Okay. The color representation? No, color, string, or number. I mean, in the link I posted. Okay. Part of the material class. Oh, okay. So it extends material. That's the part I'm missing. Okay. Well, let's go there. So okay, so when that basic material calls super, it passes those into the parent class. That makes sense. Material properties, like, okay, so here's the side. Yeah. Okay. Transparent, Boolean, opacity. Okay. So there's alpha hash. Okay, depth right. There's depth right. I went. Whether rendering this material has any effect on the depth buffer. Drawing 2D overlays can be usable to disable depth writing in order to layer several things together without creating z-index artifacts. Oh, okay. So this would be like if you're trying to render like a billboard or something, then the depth doesn't matter. You want to ignore the depth on the material. Okay. And then let's see here. Alpha test. Okay, it doesn't say that in there. Let's see. Let me get back here to this. Create basic material. Oh, yeah, it's literally alpha test. Okay. So if we go to, yeah, alpha test is part of the material thing. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I just want to understand what it means. Here. Materials. No, material. Alpha hash. Blend alpha. Okay, so there's alpha test. I don't know why it didn't show up. Let's look for alpha test. Not be rendered if the opacity is low. Okay. So got it. Okay, so this is like being able to use your material to create an object that has transparent edges. So like defies its geometry, I guess. So like, or is see-through in different parts. So you could, I was thinking about, we had some things in Fable where, especially when trying to render an animated GIF, or something with limited color space, like a GIF. You know, it has a limited palette, and you can specify some colors are transparent in that palette. And there was an issue with artifacts around the edges of things because of that limited color palette. So we had to have ways for people to, or maybe it was just in our engine, I don't remember exactly, but we had to adjust the threshold. And so you could say if something is more transparent than this amount, then you drop it. Otherwise, you draw it. You try to blend it, and this like could improve the quality of edges if you were able to adjust that. Okay, so I think I understand what the alpha test is. Sets the alpha value to be used when running after the material will not be rendered if the opacity is lower than this value. Okay, so it's like don't render this pixel if the opacity is okay. So actually, what we need to do is set the alpha test to 0 in our code, if I'm understanding that correctly. So we'll set the alpha test to 0 because we always want to render it. Yeah, now we are still doing, you know, opacity 0.4, so there's a possibility this could muck with things. But let's see what our other issues are. Okay, so canvas, so these are renamed. Canvas size is probably a vec2, I'm guessing. Yep. Okay. So I'm going to have to change all this code. So we'll say let canvas width canvas size dot x and let canvas height canvas size dot y. I could probably do that with destructuring, and then we'll just do this. This code I want to get rid of anyway. It's a mess. I don't like it. We might be better off going, instead of having like virtual coordinates, just use pixel coordinates. Okay. Why are you saying this is not used? Okay, so the camera, what other arguments do we got on that? New stuff. Transform active viewport, post-processing. Okay, so all right, so this look at, yeah, got removed. You do transform look at now. Okay. Okay, so we'll fix that. Not hard to fix. Out of curiosity, why did that become part of the transform? Does that change the contents of the transform? Transform. Oh, okay. So it's actually, it's not, got it. It's not a pipe from this to that. Except I'm missing one more argument, aren't I? Oh, calculates the rotation needed to point from towards 2. Okay, up. Up is a option float. We'll just say up none for now. Oh, and I'm still doing this wrong. It takes 2 transforms. Okay. At this. Boy, I'm great at typing today. Woohoo! At. This way you can do look at with enemies to player. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So you can get a transform which like will cause the thing to point in a particular direction. That makes sense. Cool. Okay, so then the up. Okay. Yeah, that is nice. And the interesting thing there is like, you know, the math under that makes a lot of sense, instead of it having be separate, for sure. All right. So we need to make some of the same things here. We haven't yet displayed this, so yeah, we'll fix that in a second. This is vec2, like so. And you don't know how many headaches I can give you. I suspect that it's not straightforward. Okay. Okay. That wasn't so bad to change. And what do we have going on in here? What's wrong? Okay, so there's no effect tick anymore, correct? Here. There's no tick. So I'm guessing that that runs automatically? You should do dispatch now. Okay. Okay, so it can take a just call dispatch. Got it. Okay. Okay. That's easy enough. Problem with having it expands all that and I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so this will be dispatch tick. Easy enough. Okay, so that's actually kind of nice because then you could like it doesn't have to be on a next tick thing. Because I'm guessing the dispatch loop, the run loop, runs on request animation frame already, so we didn't need to do this tick separately. That's kind of nice. Then you could do stuff like we may not make use of that in this one, but you know, have effects that where you just wanted to be like, hey, next time you go around the loop, just do this thing too. That can be pretty nice. Okay, so I think we're up to date now. Oh well, wait, what? Okay. Now we broke other things. Okay, so this is not Tiramisu Run anymore. I need to do the UI bridge stuff at some point. But let's see here. This has changed. We're living on the edge, folks. Living on the edge. All right, we're gonna look here. I guess I could look in my editor, but okay, so we do application and then we do start. That's more like, yeah. Okay, so we'll do init update view, and then pass it to start, just like Luster does. Start. And what arguments am I missing? UI bridge. So hey, Chris. Gleam main branch? No, but I'm on Tiramisu main. Like to live on the edge like you do with Bevy. So okay, so we'll do bridge none, and then we'll fix that later. I just want to get us to the point where we can compile. Okay, so okay, we're gonna change this around. We're gonna say let app is this, and then Tiramisu start. Does that return a result? It still does. Okay, so we'll do let assert okay is Tiramisu start, and then we'll do app like so. Yeah, what did I do wrong there? Okay, so this takes Tiramisu dimensions. Yeah, that's a new thing. Dimensions is, we'll just say full screen. Yep. Yeah, no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I mean, I could remove the labeled arguments, right? Oh, you mean it's not, they're not actually labeled. Oh yeah, because they don't have the aliases off to the right. So I'll just remove the we'll just do it like so. It's not a big deal. It kind of bothers me that Gleam has two ways, well not two ways, but like it's not obvious that you can do named arguments, and they like, I would actually rather it be that the argument name or the parameter name automatically becomes the label, but that's neither here nor there. Sounds good. Thank you. Okay, so you know, I think instead of looking at the code, which I do love to do, we could go over here and go to 7.0 RC1 and just look at the docs and see what you get. Okay, so the bridge has one message type that both sides understand. Each side provides a wrapper function to convert bridge messages into internal messages. A similar okay. You know, we're not actually using our UI right now, so we probably don't need to bother with it. Here's the tick. Okay, so we'll dispatch tick. This is an interesting thing. We could potentially not send tick until our assets are loaded. And then just do it here, because there's no reason to update our model, right, if our game doesn't have the right assets loaded. Let's do that. I'm gonna pull that out. We're gonna throw it here. and then we don't need the batch. Yep, sounds right. Yeah, so like, you know, when we load, okay, we will eventually branch on game state. Actually, I'll leave that comment in. It's fine. Okay. So sounds good. Did you have a time of pondering my herb code? It's kind of neat. Yeah, let's have a look right now. I mean, I did earlier, but let's look at Renatius pondering my orb. Yeah. Okay, so we can see how this is organized. Okay, so you have nested message types. Makes sense. And so there's the bridge message. Got it. We'll do something like that. Okay. It's interesting. I'm guessing this UI.new bridge returns a parameterized type. You can just fill it with whatever you want. Okay, and you pass the bridge to the game UI. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so this is telling, this is the constructor for the messages that you want to go back to Tiramisu. Okay. Okay, and then you're initializing each of the different modules. Okay, and so those get wrapped if they have any effects, so that they have the same type as your main app message. And you got physics in this one. Mine doesn't have physics. But Chris, if you didn't know that, the physics in Tiramisu is using Rapier. It's using a WASM compiled Rapier, which is pretty awesome. Okay. The main tick, physics tick. Okay. Yeah. I think that's like, I don't know how you got that idea, but that was pretty awesome idea. Okay, so then it's, you know, model effects, physics world. Okay, and the update. Okay, so you're doing, this is interesting, you're doing some key processing here. I was thinking about doing a separate module for that. Okay, so this is just to tell the UI to toggle something open. Got it, okay. Rule of cool. Very much so, very much so. Okay. Mm-hmm. Player tick. Okay, so this is like, you need to do processing for each of the systems basically on every tick, and this is if you're unpaused, then you batch them up for happening on the next time. Makes sense. Oh, it's a demo game. It's not in the docs. I think it's standalone, right? Pondering my orb. I suspect, Renatius, you're using it for testing out new Tiramisu stuff as well. Okay, yeah. So if we get a player message, you do all the player updates and batch the effects and so forth. Okay. Yeah. Putting it to the edge. Yep. All right. So then yeah, your view gets like really simple. I kind of like this. You know, I did something similar, but I put the I had some circular dependency problems in here, so I put it in this where it made a root scene here, and I would pass the children to it. I maybe don't need to do that anymore. I'm trying to remember why. I'm wondering if it was. I don't remember why it was anymore. Probably doesn't matter. But the idea of the having the different views be handled um, automatically. I haven't seen you use the camera yet, so I'm guessing that's part of the player view. Let's look. So player. Nope. Yeah, that makes sense because you're like from the perspective of the player, right? So that makes sense where the camera would be. And if you had to do any overlay cameras like maps or whatever, I'm sorry, viewport cameras. Okay. I don't want to look at a lot of this yet because it's maybe a bit too much. Internal tick function handles movement only. Okay. I want to see the view. Lots of wand switching, so you know, magic casting game. Okay, so here's your camera. I didn't realize you were doing orthographic. I thought this was 3D. Okay. There's that look at thing again. I probably need to do something like this to get my perspective correct because it is Y up. So let me fix that here in the camera. Except I don't need some. I have not been consistent about qualifying or unqualifying constructors there. Yeah, but I definitely want Y up. Okay. Cool. So let's look here in the. Yeah, you can't find symbol outline. Pub fun view. Okay. I like this API. This is nice. Interesting. The camera node is a child of the. I guess that makes sense. So that the transform of the player is at a particular position. And then the camera follows the player automatically because it's a child of node of the player. Cool. All right. So okay, this is good information for what I might be able to do later. You did something similar. ID2 string. I am not done this yet. I'm not sure it's necessary. Maybe if I were loading things from local storage or something, I might need that. Oh, for physics? Yeah, I don't have any physics, so it's not necessary. But I get it. Okay, let's real quick look at it. Let's see the magic, where the magic happens, real quick. Okay, so this has its own system with a tick and so forth. Cool. Okay, and then you dispatch. Yeah. Okay, so you use like this to give a direct effect return, but then in the where this is called, you call effect map and then wrap it in an outer. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, cool. So I want to make sure that we're working. Okay, and I need to quit typing in that. Let's reload. Okay, so we've still got stuff happening. My background still looks crappy. I'm not happy about that. And we played with that last time, but I think we did some stuff like played with the opacity and the color. Yeah, see, the problem is if I go up on the opacity, it just gets brighter, and I don't want it to get brighter, but I do want it to get higher contrast, and I think that I may just have to go back and pre-process that texture at some point. I'm not real happy about that, but slightly darker. The other thing I was playing with potentially is, do you think that's a regression bug? I think it's just I suck at preparing textures. But with the migration is, yeah, okay. Not a big deal there. I'm not actually that concerned. We'll deal with that later. In general, I think I want to get this feeling a lot less washed out. And so I'm going to have to play with color selection and lighting a lot anyway. And materials. So we can do that later. Okay, so for right now we have our fake behavior in here where if I refresh, we have this thing slowly rotating because the parent group is rotating. And then when it gets here, we recognize that that transition is ended and we process the drops and it falls to this inner ring. What's interesting to me is it's not an instant jump. It's visible, and I didn't even add that transition when it finishes. It just executes it immediately, so I may not need to make a transition for that. And you can tweak the texture with yeah, it was hard-coded before. Okay. I might need more context about what you mean there. So I have this transition type where it drops. And this is different from falling. Falling is falling from outside the board. Drop is dropping between rings, and we may not even need it. Like, if this is visibly enough. Like, I don't know if you all can see that on stream, but for me, it's like almost instantaneous, but it's slow enough that I'm like, maybe that's okay. It could just be the refresh rate here. See, because we didn't queue any drops, right? The wash up effect on the textures due to the load, not setting some variables in the texture, and remove that from the transition to Saudi already, and I didn't add an API. Oh, right. So like I need to be able to set something on the texture. The thing is, I could take this texture and do some modifications to it with Saviardi, right? Like I could change the blending mode or whatever. That's just a straw man. The blending mode doesn't matter. But The thing is, I don't think I was doing that at all before. But we could potentially... let's look for texture. Not an external texture, sorry. Not a cube texture. Material reference node. That's not helpful. Texture, here we go. Okay. The API is not steered. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, if we need to write some FFI, I'm happy to do it. I think it's RGBA format for this. For it's a JPEG. Again, like I should do some pre-processing on this. The thing is, would this be image bitmap? Because what this looks like to me, this is a gamma problem, right? Like the gamma is set incorrectly on this image. Color space, it was, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, like that's the thing. And I think this is the gamma is too high or too low on this image. And it needs to be adjusted to the display. But you say it might be the color space. Well, let's look. Default is no color space. Okay, let's look up color space. No caps. Color spaces. Oh, great. You're going to show me nothing. Cool. Okay, so... Oh, right. So we probably want linear sRGB color space. But yeah, if it's not in Saviority, we'd have to do it ourselves. We set it when using the set texture filter. Yeah, I can try that. Okay, let's look at that. Filter mode. The min filter and the mag filter. All right. Hard coding stuff, my favorite meal. Yeah. Set texture. Filter mode. That, yeah, that would not... I don't see where you're saying it would be setting the color space. Color space. Except that's the wrong thing. Oh wait. There, I see what you mean. Okay. Set texture filter. That's different than what I was looking at before. Yeah, I think... could set it to linear manually, like make my own here. We did this before. It's not a big deal. Okay, and we're gonna say import what was done up here. Yep, let's do this. Okay, so we're gonna do that, and we're gonna say export function set linear color space and texture, and then we'll say texture dot texture dot color space. We'll do this, but we'll copy it and say and we'll return texture just to be consistent. So we're going to say linear sRGB color space. Yep. Okay. I'm a bad person. Okay. We're gonna say this is import tiramisu texture type texture, and we're gonna say set texture. What did we call it in our FFI? Set linear color space. Okay. Except we've got to do okay, and this takes T, which is a texture, and returns a texture. And we'll say that's external JavaScript. GameJam.ffi.mjs. Okay. Let us see if that works. I didn't blow anything up, I guess because we're not calling it yet. But we need to go in here and we'll say texture X. The question in my mind is this gonna be called on every go round? I guess it doesn't matter if it does. All right, that changes nothing. Woohoo! Okay, let's see what else we can. Again, a gamma issue, right? Like, let's see what else we can do. Yeah, it doesn't really say what those are. Color node from one color space to another one. Yeah, it may not be linear. Like, here, let's look at this file. Reveal in Finder, please. Okay, so that's what it looks like with preview. Now I did make it transparent. But even if I bump that up to 1.0, it's still brighter than this. So look at that. Again, I think it's gamma issue. So here. So let's get info and see what that says. So it uses RGB, and y'all can't see that very well, but it uses RGB color space, sRGB color profile, no alpha channel. I'm trying to remember what we did on Fable to convert sRGB, like what we would convert it to. It could be a JPEG issue. It could be a scaling issue because this image is actually pretty big, right? And then we're mapping it onto something that's smaller. Let's Google it. So 3JS texture gamma. Let's see what people say. Did I already look at this? I already looked at this. Okay. Right, so gamma factor. Right, and they got moire effect on that. Let's see. Set the encoding. Let's try that. Yeah. How do we do this? Oh wait, this is in my browser history. Of course it is. All right, so this is the story of my life, Chris. Like sometimes I just go down a rabbit hole and I'll look at something and I'll not do anything about it. And this is, I do not recommend this particular way of doing things, but set sRGB encoding. Texture, and it returns a texture. Okay, and then we'll make this function and basically do what they did in that post. Export function, set sRGB encoding. And I don't know if this is in there already. Oh, sRGB encoding. Wait, what? It could just be my editor not finding that symbol. Typo on JavaScript. Okay. JavaScript. Okay. Whoa. Hello. Okay. Let's make sure that that's actually in there and this thing is not lying to me. Encoding. Are we dealing with undocumented stuff here? Because this could really upset me. Okay. That's low level stuff. this node thing. Textures. Okay. Is this encoding even a field on there? I have doubts. This is alphabetized. I didn't see it. I wonder if we're being led astray here. We can always put be evil. And do this. Let's restart that. And get it spamming our console. Maybe with 100 relay. Yeah, possible. Very possible. All right, let's look at the console and see what it printed. Oh, well, I didn't. It helps if I call that. It helps if I call that. So, I don't think that improved things. I really don't. Well, and it's not gonna, here, I need to get the pause. Thank you. So I can read what's in the console. It's, I guess, not. So, yeah, okay. So that, yeah, that's wrong. That's just wrong. That's not up to date. Let's see what other fields are on this thing. Yeah, don't pre-multiply alpha. I wonder if I set that though. Like if that will change things. Can you even try without the linear on the SRB? I just did. So I think that this, yeah, this is bogus. Except it's gonna break because it does not actually. Does not actually compile anymore. sRGB linear space, like what I did over here. Linear sRGB color space. Yeah, I mean, regular, I'm not calling that anymore. sRGB color space is the default, I believe. Let's look at what that said in the console. Oh, color space undefined. So, okay, so we could, but you were, let's say set sRGB color space, and let's do rename set sRGB color space and set sRGB color space. Is that what I named it? Yep. Yeah, I don't know that this is going to make a difference, but still really bright and washed out. Well, that looks better. Hey, I think we fixed it. Okay, so let's drop the opacity and see if it's still... Yeah, thank you. Sorry for the clipping of the audio there. Thank you. I don't know what the heck I was up to. Okay, so the other thing that I could potentially do is do this in my texture loading. Because I suspect if I bring these in, although I don't know that I'm actually using them, they may go into the UI and not in here. We'll see. But I could do that once here. And I think that's probably a better solution. So I'm going to pull this out. We're going to get it wrong for a second. Starfield. And then it's set when we load it. Except it helps if I do this. And go here. What did I do wrong? I'll need another paren. Okay. Okay, so now I can play with that that opacity a bit more and get it to a point where I'm happy. That's good. 0.6 looks good. Yay! Okay. Hooray. Okay, before we got on that tangent, we were looking at the transitions here, and I was saying, and you can see it here, it could just be my brain filling in the blanks, but I thought I saw at least like 2 frames doing that drop. That should not happen because I'm pretty sure that we don't. This is a good time to make a commit as well. We don't ever generate these. Yeah, because they're just here and the processing of that transition. And I'm not doing anything with it. Like over here, we're not handling that. Like with this transform. We're not handling individual so I'm gonna leave it. I think we may come back to it and decide that we need it later. I want to get this. So I think what we did was, let's find, okay, that was just a test. Oh, right. So where are we calling this? Right, so when something matches, we generate right, so if there's a vertical match or horizontal match, we generate these exit transitions. And this we did the back in, so it's gonna like grow. So I was gonna make that be a scale transition. So I think that let's look at our scene here, and we probably need Okay, so I think the question is, how are we indexing this? Yeah, that's not what I want. Okay, so this is going to give us a piece, and that piece has an ID in it. Yep. Yeah, so p.id. So what we can do is see if it's being transformed at all, or see if it's in the middle of a transition at all. Yeah. Okay, so let's pass an additional argument here, and we're going to do dict.get. And do we have the whole board here? Yeah, so board.transitions, piece entity, p.id. And then I'm going to have this take, we're going to say transition is going to be, it's a result of a transition, nil, right? Core. And okay. So now in here, so this is about the rotation of the thing. That's what's making them like spin around and highlight from the lights, right? So we could do like let's scale. What is that? Piece exit. Okay. I mean, that's useful. I don't know. I think it's useful. I'm more concerned about the tween, though. Position and tween. Yeah, let's just do the tween. And we're going to say tween dot get value tween. If it's anything else, we're going to say it's 1. And then we'll do transform the scale, vec3 splat scale. Okay, so this is just to scale up and down the piece when it is exiting the board. Sorry for eating on stream. I've got these candied pecans my wife made for Christmas treats. Trying to finish them up now. Okay. Interesting thing is I don't know if we need, because of where we're using this, I think I was originally expecting we would need to know the ring name and the position in it. But we might not. Candied pecans are awesome, man. Apparently they're really easy to make too. It's just like sugar and cinnamon, and there might be cloves in it, I'm not positive. And Is it like just water or corn syrup or some? No, no. I'm sorry. It's egg whites. Egg whites. And then you roast them in the oven. Yeah. Did you bring enough to share with the chat? Yeah. Well, here, have one. Okay. So this is interesting. Maybe because we have when we're trying to render this, we have all the information. We have the position and the ring name right here, and we don't need it in the transition thingy. I was maybe wondering or thinking like the order of operations might matter, and that we would need to hold on to the thing without it actually being part of the board, right? Like, because I don't think that when we're doing these exits, we don't remove it from the rings. We just cue the transitions, right? So and this code, this took us a while. But so we just we don't really need this field. All right, let's nuke it. Transition, where's the transition type? It's in here. I don't know why it's way down here. I need to fix that. Okay, so the piece exiting does not need. Well, no, let me take that back. Let's find the other references. Ah, okay. So if we go to this spot, if the tween is complete, yeah, okay, so we do need it here. We just don't need it in the rendering. We need it in where do we remove from the board. Like, so it's part of our logic, our core logic, but not part of the rendering. So we don't need it in the rendering. I'm going to leave it. That was almost foolish of me. Yeah. Okay. Lamau. We're not using this yet. Piece falling. Okay, so the thing that we aren't doing, and I'm not sure how I want to do this, but if we look here at our board type, this transitions is this business. Let me bring these types up to the top for Pete's sake, Sean. This is important to be up at the top. At least for my sanity, and we can do the functions farther down. Okay. I didn't break anything, I just moved. So, okay, the board doesn't have a special thing for, it only has pieces that are on the board, patterns that are on the board, which we need to deal with at some point rendering. Which ring is selected, and then the transitions. And ultimately what we want to do is on tick, we want to possibly spawn. And we're going to have to like have a spawn timer, right? In our state here. But what I kind of want to do is go through and deal with this transition. There should probably only be one or a handful at a time. But I'm wondering if I should, like, it is a thing we want to process on every tick as far as transitions go, but I'm wondering if I need some other state to say, here, I need to render this piece. What's the game about? I only know how to struggle with tiramisu from your streams. Okay. This is why I keep this up. Decades ago, and when I say decades, I mean decades, there was this game. This is a puzzle game from a larger game, massively multiplayer online game called Yo-Ho-Ho Puzzle Pirates. I played many hours of that entire game, but it was a combination of like a social space with the ability to collaborate with other players and have PvP with other players. But all of your interactions with the game world, aside from the social ones, were via puzzle games. So this was one puzzle game you could play as the captain of the ship as you were going across the ocean. And it's a match 3 game. It has 3 rings. You know, of course, I'm doing a variation on that. And you get these patterns on the board here. And your goal is, as the pieces come in, you try to align the rings such that when you rotate them, you get them into the particular positions that match up with the spots on each ring. I was just thinking about there are a lot of mini puzzle games in AAA games that are sort of like this. Like I'm thinking of the one from Assassin's Creed Rogue, where you have to match up the lasers on the different parts of the thing to unlock, you know, some computer core business. It's very Hollywood. This is what computers are like in Hollywood, which is hilarious because it was made by a game company, but whatever. I don't know. The storytellers wanted to say something different than what the people writing the game code would. But regardless, I got off on a tangent. So your goal here is to fill it up, matching up the spots, the patterns, so on the rings, and then when you get that, you get a board clear, and it'll remove all the things that match. But you can also get into a spot where there's no way to solve it immediately, and the way you get around that is you match at least 3 pieces, either vertically, so along the same axis, or so like one in each ring on top of each other, or you would match them inside. So like if something fell, for example, if there was a blue piece and it fell into this spot right here, those 4 pieces would get removed. That's the sort of gameplay pattern. And you can see if you rotate one, the thing is, if you rotated this middle ring 2 times counterclockwise, you'd get the yellow piece falling into that spot. So for this particular spot in the gameplay, what the player should be wanting to do is find a blue piece and get it to be in a position such that you can make it fall into there, clear out those blue pieces, and then be able to put in a red next to it. So, or your other option is get 3 blue pieces on top of that to clear it out, and then pop a red down into it. So that's kind of the pattern of the game. And I may have said it on a previous stream when we were trying to figure this out. I knew that these are the sorts of transitions we would need. But my first pass at the core logic was very stepwise, and I had to kind of rethink things so that the static state of the game would not progress until transitions completed. And that's why, and that was like a brain bending thing for me for a while. And I think that, you know, Chris, you probably had some similar things with bevy games that you've tried to create. I don't know if you did anything that has these sort of quasi-static states, or if your stuff was all continuous. But like dealing with those ticks, and whether timers have finished, is it's challenging to conceptualize. I think I've kind of gotten over it for this particular game implementation. But I like structuring it that way from the beginning was gonna be like mind bending for me. So I did the static stuff. I was like, okay, if one particular thing finishes, what's the next state that I want the game board to be in? And I figured all of that out. And yeah, no kidding. There's only so much time in a week, and here I am like spending a ton of time on my stream talking about it. It's weird in that you can think about, oh well, here's a very straightforward, like for example, let's look at some of these functions down here. Like it's great to be able to do this very functional, like do these three conditions. Are they met, right? Or like I want to make sure that those pieces from the outer ring, if they're above holes, that they drop down. Well, the easy way is you go, okay, we'll make the ones from the middle ring fall to the inner ring and the outer ring fall to the middle, or you know, whichever way you want to do it. And those are discrete changes, right? And how does this execute drop work? Well, it matches up each of the slots and says, okay, do that for each one of the slots in the ring. And then and this is, by the way, this is mutating. It's transforming both rings, the one above and the one below. And then, so if you know, what happens for the ring above? Well, if the below slot is occupied, then you keep the piece that was there. If it's empty, then that means that your piece from this ring is falling to the inner ring for the one below. And so this slot is now going to be empty. And then the converse for the below, if it's occupied, then it remains unchanged. If there's nothing in it, then it takes the thing from above, even if that's none. So this is the sort of like simple, functional, discrete stuff that's like easy to, it's sand engine rules. Exactly. Yes. So this is the sort of thing that's like straightforward to think about functionally. It was just how do I decide at what point do I execute those actions? And this one I have kind of a hybrid. I'm like, some of them I'm directly, you know, taking this thing that was falling and putting it in that spot in the outer ring, right? And then whatever happens later can be like, well, it's going to immediately fall to the middle or something like that. And then in some of the others, or like this, when it has finished exiting, I just clear it from the board. But for the ring rotation, what happens, and like we can see this here in the code if I refresh it. So I have this really slow transition, 3 seconds, and it starts here and it rotates to the right and drops. The drop is just an aspect of it. Oh, and that's, you know, I just figured out why it takes 2 frames. Because it falls from the outer to the middle. On the next frame, it falls from the middle to the inner. That's fun. Okay. But on these, the state of this ring it's not actually being rotated until the tween is done. So like, even though this thing is slowly moving, it actually like logically is still here until the end of that transition, and then it's go bloop bloop. So that's the technical term, bloop bloop. That's how I'm like, again, still a little brain bending, but that's how I'm dealing with these sort of like intermediate states. And this is a thing like conceptualizing, you know, that feeling of it rotating is not a core game logic thing. It's a like user experience thing. I could have just said, okay, well you hit left or right to rotate the ring, and then like next frame it's directly at the spot, and then, you know, falls. I could have done that. You know, the other thing we can do here actually is we could make it happen immediately by doing the drops twice. Where did that go? Apply drops. Yeah, so we could have it apply drops twice. And then anything that was in the outer ring above 2 empty spots could fall completely to the inner ring on 1 frame. I don't know. I'm going to leave it. Maybe I'll put a note here. Has the effect of moving a piece from the outer ring to the inner over 2 frames. We could apply it twice in a row, or potentially swap the order of operations. I think there's trade-offs to both of those. Applying it twice in a row is fine, not a big deal. I'm not really concerned about performance yet, so. Okay, so what I want to do is get to, let's spawn a piece and have it be falling. Which means that what is performance? Yeah, no kidding. Talking JavaScript here. What even is performance? I might want to generalize this. Because, okay, so these are the pieces that are in the board. Maybe we make a new one. Let's call falling pieces. I don't know that we need time, but we're going to pass it in anyway. Let's just put it down here at the bottom. Time is a duration. Okay. And this is going to be I think it needs to be a scene node. Yeah. Right? Okay. And we might need to update an ID. Let's see here. Let's just do this. That's just going to be a group. Okay, and then we're going to do scene empty. And what we'll do is we'll go through the transitions in the board, extract the ones that are falling, generate pieces for them, figure out what their transforms are, and add them to the list. And I think that's the kind of strategy I want to go with. So I need to import that. This is me identity transform as usual because we don't need to move this. This is just a group. Okay, and then we're going to say let pieces. Okay, we'll do empty list for now. So what I want to do, we may not even need time. Actually, we want to pass it into this. We can reuse this stuff. So the thing is the distance. We want to I think we want to scale that. I think about how to structure that. Because what we could do is pass in the transition, right? Let's make this an option of ring name. And then let's put some here. I don't know that this is the right model, but and then we're going to do transition. And for this one, we're going to ignore because it's not going to change it. And then here we'll ignore and we'll say if there's an okay. I don't really like doing this sort of thing. There needs to be a better way. Okay, so if it's it feels like what we should be doing here is it's either got this or it's got this. And I'm kind of conflating the two. Okay, so let's see. What are the fields on this? Position, piece, tween. So we're already getting this information. Maybe, yeah, let's just do the tween. And we're going to do, and this is a float, and I think that what we did was Well, we're not even constructing it yet. So we can decide what the contents of the tween are. But if I'm going to say it's like 0 to 1, right? Here. Do panic as invalid piece transform arguments. We're not going to run into this. I just want to give myself some time to figure out okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm saying that what do I want to do? Actually, this is going to make it go outward, right? I need to make it go inward. So, okay, we're going to do 5 minus. So at the end, when it gets to 1, I want it to be at 3, right? Okay. So we need to fix this. Maybe it's just coming from Rust, but it annoys me a little bit that option is not auto imported, but result is. Result and its variants. That bugs me a little bit. Okay. So this is returning a group. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say board.transitions. Question is, do we filter first or do we do values first? Let's do values. Okay, so we're gonna filter, let's do filter map. Okay, let's just put a to do there for now. What we need is something that looks like I kind of need to extract this piece material and transform. Maybe we can do it in one. Let's at least extract this. Yeah. Well, that didn't work. Why? Why didn't you work? Okay. Okay. So I think we're good on that. So now we can do, so if this is the transition, what we can do is see if it's a core piece falling. That is not helping. I thought there was a code action for fields. No, it doesn't work. Okay, if it's anything else, what we want to return is error nil, right? Because that'll remove it from the list. We don't care about it. Okay, we're just going to do this. And I don't think we need the tween, but we're going to, because we're going to pass the whole transition in to our transformer business. Okay, so we're going to say, where's our other one? So like this. Let's copy that. And we'll put it down here and modify. Okay, so we're going to say this is none. This is position. And then we don't need to dict get here. We're going to say OK of t. And this is going to be piece.id. Okay, and now we need the geometry. What is the geometry? I'm going to change this up later, but let's go ahead and extract it to a function. Okay. Okay. So, so we can reuse that. And this is piece, not P. Okay, that should do it. I would hope. So now what we'll get is if this is, we'll get the distance be an effect of this transition. Now we just need to spawn them. So let me make sure things are not completely broken. Okay, what's wrong there? Oh, it's supposed to return a list of scene. Oh, so we actually don't need this scene empty. We can just flatten this. So we can get rid of this. Which means we can get rid of this. And this. I already had it be, you know, flat, right? and now it's the import's wrong. Okay, so it's not affecting anything right now because we're not spawning anything, right? So let's go up here in the board and let's add a spawn timer. Okay. So then on tick, we can do spawn spawn piece, and this is going to take the board. And we're going to return the board. So what I want to do is like subtract. Let's see what's available there. I want to subtract the time. Okay, so we can do subtracting the first duration from the second. The question in my mind is, what happens here when it bottoms out? What happens in normalize? That says it's internal, but I may want to use it. Where's that normalize? It doesn't handle negative durations. Does it? I guess it does. So we could do a negative and just add, and then when it exceeds 0, handles negative durations. Okay, it'd be easier to add. Like have the spawn timer start with a negative value. Okay, okay. Thank you. So you used it in pondering my orb. I don't know why this isn't. I mean, I can just construct that, but it says internal. I don't know why. Okay. Well, so let's say we're gonna do board.spawn timer duration add delta time, and then there's a subtract function. I didn't see one. No subtract. I mean, there's difference, but the question is, I guess I'm going to have to do a difference and then compare regardless, right? Difference or add, like, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay. So maybe it'll make more sense for me to do the timer let's look at the difference. Subtracting the first duration from the second. Okay, so what I want is actually delta time. We're going to do delta time, and we're going to difference board.spawn timer, and then we're going to do compare and this will return an order. Lots of ordered item, but yeah. I actually kind of like the tween better. Okay, so we're gonna do duration compare with empty. Is that evil to use that? It's a public constant, but it says internal. Okay, we'll just do 0, 0. Can I even construct that directly? No, it's opaque. Jerk. Okay, duration seconds 0. Okay. That was fun. All right, so if I do, this is I'm gonna wrap this in a case. Okay, so order, I guess I need to import Gleam order. Okay, and then, oh shoot, what did I break? Lots. Where did I put that spawn thingy? Okay. Can you pipe to case? I know it's like the forbidden thing to do in Elixir, but oh, is an issue lacking some parens there? Okay. So if we subtract and it's order dot eq or order dot less than, then the thing is, I think I want to here's what I'm getting mixed up here. I'm trying to do too much in one statement. So what I want to do is get the timer updated regardless, right? So this is going to be the new timer. And then we'll compare if it's expired. So what the heck am I doing wrong? Oh, I'm not even, yeah, way up here. This is part of the problem. In the new board. We'll just make that a function, and then we'll have that centralized. right? Okay, so we're going to say seconds. I don't know, every 5 seconds. That's good. Okay, now it's complaining a lot less. Okay. All right, so if it's equal to or less than, then we want to do 2 things. We're going to pick a piece. We're going to pick a position using random functions. And then what we're going to do is we're going to here we're going to increment that. We are going to reset the spawn timer. And we are going to insert the transitions. Okay, and then I'm going to say this transition is going to be piece falling, right? I don't remember what we did down here. And now since my syntax is messed up, I can't find anything. Okay. Right, okay, so we had a constant. I think these are things that I really need to be putting up at the top anyway. Okay, so we do from to duration and then easing, and on this one it's going to be linear. So where were we? Okay, this is going to be 0 to 1 duration dot seconds. I think we'll make this a constant. Okay, so the piece we need some random, and I don't know, we're gonna have to look that up because I don't think it's part of standard lib. PRNG. Okay. That looks, I don't know that I. So there's a thing here where we probably need to be storing the PRNG in our game state. Um, so if we do, let's see, is it sample or step? To random yielder. I don't know how I feel about that yielder library. Do you have any thoughts about that? Oh yeah, your LSP integration is always giving issues. What I use Z. It could just be that I need to restart the LSP, but here, let's look at the README. Okay, so yeah, random sample. But the seed is required there. The thing is, yeah, random step. Okay, so we could probably set up a generator. As part of our game state. I don't know how I feel about this. Like I think that this is probably what we want. But then it's a question of we need this yielder library. Well, it's Jax, it's Giacomo, so I guess. So it depends on Gleam yielder, which is Louis. So I guess, yeah, I have mixed feelings about it. Like, yeah, like you probably don't want this package. It's literally there in the README, right? Um, You may want this if you have a pure function that can generate a sequence of values, but the sequence is too large to fit in memory. Like, okay, so backing up a second. If we go here and we see there's going to be some FFI here, right? Like, so there's Erlang, you know, some business with seeds. Here, I don't know where. Yeah, this is like a kind of a manual implementation of our PRNG. Now there's int.random in the standard library. Why am I not just using that? I didn't even know that existed. Lower number is inclusive, upper number is exclusive. Okay. 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 What we're going to do is we're going to do int.random. I honestly thought that this didn't exist. I thought you had to go to a separate library. I don't really need reproducibility here. I'm making this too hard. So we're going to do int.random. Upper number is exclusive. Oh gosh, I'm well over. Okay, so we're gonna do okay, let me look up here. So this needs an actual piece, which is a kind and an ID. Yeah, so what I want to do okay, we're going to do kind. And then here we're going to do a piece. What the heck is the constructor? I keep losing it. Kind and ID. Okay. So I just say kind, and ID is going to be board.nextPieceID, right? Because this is, we're going to use the next one. Okay. So, and this is just going to be P1, P2. All right, because I just did this. Here, let's just do some vertical editing if we can. Okay. What's wrong still? Those are not errors, those are just edits. Oh, okay. So when I insert this, I need to insert let's pull this out. When we got that, and then we need to insert a piece entity ID. Yes, I meant to import Gleam int. Thank you. Expected one argument, got two. Oh, between 0 and the given maximum. Okay. I think I was misreading that. I was conflating it with something else. So up to 5, up to 8. Let's restart the Gleam server. There we go. Things are happier. Okay. So we've got the ID, the kind, the position. Now your game's not testable. Unbelievable. I know. I know. I actually don't care about that part. So here's the thing is what I would care about is when the timer expires, do I add a transition, right? And I can determine what that transition is by just knowing the piece ID on the board. So, all right, let's see what we got. I'm probably broken everything. Okay, shortly we should get a piece entering. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is let's echo transition. I want to see it get there's a question in my mind about, let's just for safety's sake restart. Probably didn't need to do that. Okay, so this is not okay, so it's clearly going below 0, but it's not oh, duration is negative or positive, doesn't matter for comparing them, only amount of time spanned matters. My logic was flawed there. So like it's possible it's just going past and then it's like, oh well, it's greater, so just, you know, don't do anything. So we're never hitting that. We need a different way. We could do two seconds. Yeah, let's try that. And we could say right, and here, yeah, okay, so excuse me. Oh, I need the dot. That's a 9. Okay. Hey, look at that. I don't have any way to rotate the rings yet. But we're getting pieces adding to the board. One thing that's interesting that we may need to do something about is, and that's actually a game over condition right there, but it didn't happen. Because I don't stop the loop when I get a game over condition. Need to deal with like controls. Um, it really likes to spawn right there, doesn't it? I'd love to see this run for a bit. Um, and see if it makes any matches. Now I could like tell it to spawn the same color every time. Now see, like it should, when it hits there, it should be like you lost. I'm not printing out the bit where the board state is failed, and we're not stopping that timer. So we need to look at the game state to determine whether to spawn a new piece. Yeah, all stuff for next time. Thanks for hanging out with me and fighting through all of this. And we're getting closer. Like I'm feeling pretty good about this. I feel like we might want a little bit of subtlety. Notice that snappiness there. We might want a little bit of subtlety with that. And then I want to see us do some more stuff on this, like get more of the gameplay put together, and see what we can do. All right. Well, have a lovely day, and we'll see you next week.